That's a fork, by the way! Nicholas is a piece of butt. The mountain has spotted a checkmate pattern, so Nicholas has to be super careful. He's threatening mate. He's threatening mate. The mountain is threatening mate! He can win more material, but will he see it? He can win more material. There are more forks. More forks on the board. Can he see it? Can you guys see it? More forks.
You seem to be in good form.
Who am I fighting?
It's making a few moves for black. Mating one now. Checkmate! Wow. Easy peasy, but you need to hurry up, Nicholas. Don't flag! Don't flag!
Throw it out there.
Time, yeah, Waga needs to hurry up. Oh shoot, the time! I didn't realize. He's down to his final 45 seconds. Now that's huge.
Coming for you, Mr. Mountain. Please pin me.
Please pin me.
Not like the Red Viper kind of thing. Like
It's made on the board. Dota professional Wagamama will be joining us all the way from Sweden. He won his match yesterday against the Mountain himself from Game of Thrones. Strongest gamer out there, but Waga managed to win the match. We will be coaching him today for the first time. Before, he has been working with Danny Ranch and Levi Roseman as far as I know, and I'm gonna try my best to help him as well to win his group, make it to the championship bracket, and who knows what's next from then on, because he has improved a lot at chess. Very impressive progress again. You will soon see. I was watching the match here on Twitch yesterday, and it was a very, very convincing win. Scary but very nice man. Why is he scary, Minier? Why is he scary? I don't think Nicholas is scary. His skills are scary good. I'm assuming that's what you mean. Waga seems like a scary strong opponent for this tournament. 1400 is huge. But he gained those many rating points during these past few days and weeks. He wasn't a 1400 before. No one was a 1400 before. Hello? Hey, can you hear me, Nicholas?
I can.
Hey,
Fantastic.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I live kind of on American schedule, so I woke up like an hour ago, cooked some food, and I'm ready for a day with more learning.
I'm happy to hear that, and it's totally understandable that you're on an American schedule. I also am a night owl normally, so I think streamers, many of us are just like adapting to the time zones that are the most viewed on Twitch and such.
It makes sense. Also, my girlfriend is American, so she lives here with me in Sweden, but we have a lot of American friends, so it makes sense for her if she wants to hang out with them and play games that we're on American schedule.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is she a gamer too? Is she a streamer? Sorry,
I'm
jumping in with this serious question.
Yeah, she goes by the handle of Keo, Keo, and she's actually streaming right now as well. So yeah, we met at a gaming event.
Aw, that's adorable. I also met my boyfriend at the Twitch event at TwitchCon in Berlin last year. And this is his chair. Cool. I stole it from him. I was streaming from a wooden kitchen chair. Like XQC had a chair like that. He tweeted about that one day. I think he was at his parents' perhaps, because normally he would have a proper gaming chair, but no, I stole this one, so now I have one too.
Yeah, I have a good one. I like the painting behind you. The one, is that chess pieces? Chess pieces along it?
Yeah, yeah, that's fan art by an Italian viewer of mine, Nia, and this is another fan art that's Kevin and me in the painting.
Wow.
I really like fan art, and I just decided
those are really good.
I just printed it out on a huge canvas, my favorite ones.
That's
I really
awesome.
like the wall behind you if you're already talking about interior design.
Yes. I picked out my entire room is very dark wallpaper, but people say you should have a bright room because it makes you happy, but I think I'm not like most people there. I like a dark room. It's more calming for me, and this is my streaming room that I'm very happy to have.
Oh, it looks really, really fashionable and trendy in a way that it's different too, because I think most streamers, well, they would just have their the bedroom behind them, basically.
It's even more different on the side with the window because it's
Oh,
hard to see, but it's cogwheels.
nice. I like it.
So it's yeah, it's fun. Get to make my streaming as I wanted. I wanted to say I was watching I was actually watching your channel yesterday after the tournament, and first of all, the eye tracker was my bad. I didn't have it enabled.
Oh, I
I
thought
didn't start
it
it.
was my fault because I'm very bad at
Yeah,
text stuff. So I was like, maybe I'm not doing it well. I'd love to learn how
yeah,
to use it.
yeah. It's I turned it on for this stream, so if you watch the VOD or anything later, you could see how the eye tracker works.
Awesome.
Or even if you go in, and that I think can be pretty good for just showing what I'm focusing on when I'm playing. So for chess, it makes a lot of sense. I think if I see something or not, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. I'll bring up your channel right now on my screen so that people know what we are talking about. Because Nicholas has this extremely cool feature on his streams that you can see where he's looking. So normally you would use this for Dota, but now you're also using it for your chess streams.
yeah, it's a company called Toby here in Sweden. They do eye tracking. Funny fact is that Daniel Rensch apparently met with them as well. So I've gone to the US with them to Vegas to the big tech event there, and Daniel Rensch also had eye trackers that he worked with the chess community with, and he said
Yeah.
there was a tournament where they had eye tracking.
Yeah,
It's
I
so
was at
awesome.
that tournament too. It was the Pro Chess League finals in San Francisco, and that was the first time that I saw it at like a competition. I didn't even know they existed, to be honest, and how we can use it at a chess competition. So we were commentating on the games of Fabiano and some of the other participants, and we could see. I called it like the blue ghost because there was just this lightning color over the board moving very quickly.
Yeah. No, it's they actually call it the Toby Ghosts for streaming, the eye tracking
Oh,
itself.
I had no
So
idea. I just called it a
that's
ghost
a
because
good.
it was mysterious.
Yeah, you got it right. You're calling it the right thing. My stream should be going online now. But yeah, it's a cool thing and very cool when you realize that like Daniel worked with the same people that I did, and it's fun in both Dota and in this. You can learn a lot from it, I think. The eye
Yeah,
tracking.
yeah, and I was watching that one of yours, and when you were being coached by Danny, and it was really interesting how you were
Oh, you
explaining
saw it?
that they basically tested you as you are a professional Dota player, how it would compare where you're looking during a
Yeah.
gameplay versus a beginner, and you were, for instance, I think you mentioned that. How often you look at the map and how often a
Mm.
beginner would look at
Yeah,
the
yeah,
map.
yeah. It was, over me playing 2 or 3 games. It was every 3 seconds. I look at the map to gather information where everything is going. Where everyone is heading, because it's
Yeah.
10 players in the game, and you want to know where everything is gonna go, how things are moving around.
Yeah.
So it would be the same as having good board vision in chess, I suppose, is the map awareness in Dota. And
Oh my, I
I
see it
looked at
now.
that.
I see it. It has just
Yeah.
suddenly appeared. That's so cool. Oh my god, you're
uh,
looking at the entire white camp. Oh, so we are playing with the white pieces here.
yes.
This is amazing. And I wanted to congratulate you, first of all, for your yesterday's match, because it's not
Thank you.
easy to start a tournament that's being watched by tens of thousands of people, and your opponent is one of the strongest, if not the strongest gamer out there.
It's actually a little bit intimidating whether it's a chess match, but it's still intimidating to play against the strongest man in the world. There's something about it, very reptile brain, this man
Yeah.
big.
I can imagine, and it was also so wholesome after the game. Then the two of you were basically chatting a little bit in the game chat, and you said that
Mm.
you're a fan of his, and he was also super
Oh
nice
yeah.
with his responses. Hafthor is great.
Yeah, he was a great champ, and I liked everything he said afterwards. He's taking the challenge of chess and just willing to learn. Like he seems, I'm sure he will beat the other two if he puts in the work as well. He played very solid in many things, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I thought it wasn't easy for him to face you, of course, because you have improved a lot in these past few weeks, and you'll need to let me know more about that, by the way, in a second. But since he was the underdog in that match, I thought, but even like this, he fought well, and as you said, he has a chance to make it to the second place in that group, so he can still be in the championship bracket.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think so. Uh,
So let's talk about your chess, because what I have seen, I watched some of the WODs of your coaching sessions, bits and pieces of it, to be updated on what you have been learning. As far as I know, you have had sessions with Danny Rensch and Levi Roseman. Is that correct?
One session with either of them, and that's what I've done so far. Outside of that, I've just tried to play with some friends who are quite clearly better than me. They've mostly been kicking my butt when we
Like
played.
Stormstormer.
Stormstormer, one of them, yes, and Matthew FF, who also was in your chat. I saw yesterday. He's one of my mods.
Yeah, shout out to all of them. And I also got a gifted sub on your channel yesterday. So your community is being super nice to me. I didn't even know they know who I am or anything, that I was watching your match.
Oh yeah. When I was watching, I saw so many of people I recognized when I was watching your VOD back. I saw a lot of my viewers appreciated you streaming it as well.
Oh,
so it's
thank
great.
you so much. And of course, the main court was on your channel and the official broadcast of chess.com. But I couldn't stay away. It's just so exciting. I was like, I was going to be watching it regardless. So I may as well watch it with my community.
I think it's good. The more perspectives, the better. I mean, it's fun for the people watching.
Yeah. I think this is an amazing event. I was so looking forward to it. I was mainly a spectator at Pogchamps 1, but I really wanted to be part of it. And this time I was included on the team, and I couldn't be happier about it.
Yeah.
So you have had coaching sessions, but before that, let's start with a short recap on when did you start playing chess, and did you have lessons afterwards? Just tell me a bit about your chess journey overall.
Oh, okay. So I never really played chess until very recently, being invited to Pogchamps. I would say before Pogchamps, I played probably 8 games against live people ever. Like a few against my brother and my dad when I was a kid, but they didn't want to play because I beat them. And I lived countryside, so I didn't have a chess club to go to or anything. So I didn't, pick up chess on a serious level. And then I played a few games against my girlfriend's dad, and that's really it. So I started practicing for Pogchamps pretty late because I procrastinate always, and I stream normally like 8 or 10 hours a day, and I try to stay busy. So I put in my hours for Dota, and then when Pogchamps was getting close, like 10 days ago, I decided now I need to start working on learning chess a little bit more. But like Danny said, I do enjoy chess. I watched the 2018 World Championship because I'm fascinated by it, but I was by no means an actual player at this point. Like I said, had not even played 10 games at this point.
Then it's incredibly impressive that you're at the level where you are, because I had no idea. I was thinking maybe as a kid you took some lessons, you went to a club.
No, never. No.
It feels like you have a very, very good understanding of the principles, the strategic concepts, and you only had one session with Danny and Levi. So, wow.
Yeah, they were very helpful. They're very helpful. Like a lot of I try to apply. I think chess and Dota have a lot of similarities, though, that I have a little bit to gain from that over the other people, because Dota is a very strategic and tactical game. And I think a lot of the other people playing Valorant or Fortnite or just chatting, they don't use their tactical and strategic mindset as much as I do, perhaps. So, and I'm just fascinated by the game. So I've been doing puzzles a lot, and I played 130, I think, games on chess.com. So my plan is to keep doing more of both of these things and just try to learn.
You told me about the puzzle grind when we were talking on Twitter, and I thought that's a very useful way of practicing, because I do think that Pogchamps is mainly decided by those critical moments when someone hangs a piece or misses a tactical motive, a checkmate pattern, and puzzles teach you to spot those motives, those ideas, and take advantage of them. So a puzzle grind, definitely a great way of improving. Yeah. I think you have one of the highest, if not the highest, puzzle rating among the participants.
Yeah, people told me that I have apparently the highest, which I was surprised to learn, but also someone in my chat told me that Hafthor got scared of me because of my puzzle rating. So I guess it's to my benefit. I appreciate that.
I
um,
see. I see. I'm gonna have a session with Hafthor later on, but I'll just tell her to keep grinding with the puzzles and then try to catch you. No, we
yeah,
try
I
to help,
definitely
of
see
course,
her
as
as
many
a.
of you as we can, and I'm here to help with your further improvement. I think since you're doing the puzzles on your own, we will not do puzzles.
Yeah, no, we can focus on other stuff
Yeah,
because puzzles, I think, is great way to improve on your own. Like sit and just do it.
exactly, exactly. So I don't know. I think right after you finished the game, so you clicked on the game report. I don't know how much in depth you have looked at the games. If you want to, if you have any questions about yesterday's games, we can start with those.
Yeah, the game one, perhaps I would like to look
Mm-hmm.
at a little bit. I didn't actually look at the game reports much, only the little bit that I did between the games there. And I felt like game one, I got into a pretty complicated situation with when he was attacking on my king.
Mm-hmm.
So I took a lot of time. A lot of people watching told me they were super worried because I went low on time, but I haven't played with increments barely at all, and +5 feels like a really good lifeline for me. Like I feel safe
Yeah.
because you know I just didn't want to mess up when he's clearly looking for mates, and I want to live through that. And then when things get simpler, I know that I can make a move in 5 seconds, like for sure. Um,
It's good that it gives you some security and that you're not worried about
oh yeah,
time because of the increment.
Storm Stormstorm has been doing 5+0 against me, and I'm too slow. He just beats me. He always plays 3 minutes or 5 minutes, so he's super fast.
Yeah. I heard Danny telling you that it's good that you mainly practice the Pogchamps time control, but you should be aware that in case there's a tie, it's either Armageddon or a Blitz game. So
Yeah, yeah.
it will be good if you get a few more Blitz games in with Storm or anyone else from your community. But overall, I agree with you. The increment is great. I myself don't like to play without increment, and I've been playing my whole life. So I think
Mhm.
it's preferences because you have more. I think with increment, you always feel like there's time to think, while in a Blitz game with no increment, the end of the game can go just like insane. You might be a rook up, a queen up, and it's just
Oh yeah.
too much pressure because of the
The-
time.
yeah, that's all I've been playing. Like some people were also like, because I was watching back the replay talking about my rapid rating. I'm not even done with the placement matches. So the first game I played, I got 240 points for winning. So I don't think my rapid rating matters much right now because it's gonna go down
Yeah.
when I start losing. Um, I only played like 7 games of rapid, so the rapid rating is whatever. My blitz is all I've been playing, pretty much.
It explains then a lot of people are like, oh my god, he's a 1400, and you've just said that you've
Oh
only
yeah,
been learning
no.
for 10 days, and you're a 1400. There are people who study for years and they don't get to 1400.
Yeah, no, I'm not a 1400. Yeah, no. But maybe I can become with all the help that I'm getting. I have no excuse not to become one.
I'm sure if you're interested in chess, and you definitely seem to be one of the participants who clearly likes the game, and you are into improving the puzzle grind, you're getting coaching sessions, and it's just amazing to see for us because it will hopefully mean that this is not only about the event for you, but maybe after the event too, you will sometimes pick up chess and play with friends or
Yeah.
on stream, and that's just great. That's overall, I think, our objective to make sure that it's not a one event thing for most of you.
No, it's not. And I was talking to Levy about it a little bit too, and he was saying that if I ever find myself going to New York, and want to hang out,
Yeah.
like the chess community is very very open and welcoming. So, and yeah, I foresee myself playing a bit of chess. One thing to note is that in Dota you can sometimes have very long queue times when you play. So you queue up for a game, and it can take like I've had 3 hour queue times at some point, right?
Oh my.
So I could play a lot of chess in this time, and not more normally it's much faster, but there could be definitely a lot of opportunities for me to play chess while queuing.
Yeah,
So it's great.
you could be one of the few streamers that combine chess and Dota in one
Uh,
stream.
oh yeah, yeah. That's
I was
why
just
that's what I
thinking.
like though, merging of the
Yeah.
communities. It's fun.
Exactly, exactly. And speaking of Levi, speaking of the devil, he has just raided my channel. Levi, what are you doing? He's spying on us. He just wants to claim to be a better coach. I'm sure that's why he's coming over. But thank you, Levi. Thank you so much for that. I'm gonna be training your student, Danny. And Levi have been helping Nicholas so far. If you guys haven't met him yet, he crushed the mountain yesterday, and I know that's a scary thing to say. And some of the viewers were like, "Okay, let's try to keep Nicholas's address safe. Let's try to make sure that Hafthor is not very in Sweden to find Nicholas." Exactly.
Yeah, no, I took out a good life insurance after yesterday, so you know that's my first step. No, he's hilarious. I like that he's going with it too. He's
Yeah.
funny. Chat is having way too much fun with you know, whenever he appears on camera. Chat so scared.
He's hilarious, and he's just such a kind-hearted human being. It's like the physical appearance might be intimidating, but at the same time he's like he's adorable. It's like the way he was also like I really enjoyed the interview. It was a pity they couldn't get you on the Zoom call, but now we know it was a tech issue.
It was more of a me issue than tech, but yeah, I'll figure it out for next time. You know, saving my interview for later.
Yes.
It's a common tournament strategy.
Exactly. So you said that you wanted to look at game one mainly. Any specific moments, or shall we go through it move by move? For instance, did you prepare for the opening? I think with Levi you looked at the Caracan. Is that correct?
Yeah, I've been looking at the Caracan, so that's what I've been playing and tried to prepare. And everything kind of felt normal. The fact that he came out with this bishop early, I feel is good for me.
Yes. Did you see in the VOD of the official coverage what Danny said about this? Because Danny is a coach of Hafthor as well.
He said it was probably a mistake and that he wanted to play the Italian. And
Yes.
that it turned into what's known as the hillbilly gambits, because I could
Exactly.
take the pawn after this, but
Yeah.
well, I didn't know if that's right or not. I just saw that, I could take, what I saw is that I could take the center with the e5, and then if he takes my pawn, I will have two pawns in center.
Yeah, I think you played very logical. And also, let me invite you to an analysis board so that we can also make different lines on the board. I forgot that you will not be seeing what I'm drawing because I already started like highlighting squares and drawing arrows. But yes, absolutely. I think what's important at Pogchamps that in terms of openings, it's good that you have a base, so you have your repertoire with the white and black pieces, but there'll always be surprises. It's impossible to be ready for everything. So in general, I think you had the right thinking that you haven't seen this before. It's not common at all, but you thought e5 is a logical move. It takes the center, and you don't have to take that pawn on e4 if you don't want to. In terms of gambits, if you don't feel safe about it, don't accept it. Don't take it.
I was just worried about doubling up my two central pawns. They would look ugly, and that it will be hard to hold on to that far pushed pawn. It's basically my reason that I didn't accept that, because I've never seen it, so I just was scared to accept.
I think that's very logical, and always just go for the move that you like the most in terms of like safety as well, and what feels good to you, in a way that I think sometimes, especially if you click on game report and the engine points out all sorts of mistakes, like, oh, this was a better move than your one, or this and that would have been better. But just because the engine would play option A or B or C, you can still choose option D or E or F, as long as it's a safe move and as long as it's more natural to you. So don't be... I don't know how much you rely on the engine's analysis when you check your own games.
Yeah, I mainly... I'm not really good enough to evaluate it myself, so I use the engine to try and understand.
Yeah.
And most of the times what the engine says makes sense to me.
Yeah.
If it doesn't make sense, then I try to follow the lines under the analysis and see why it would be better. So yeah, the engine, I mean, a brief comment on that is that I'm super jealous as a Dota player of the engine that you guys have. You can just, like, it's almost like a cheat sheet. You can see, correct move, good or bad. And we don't have that in Dota, so we have to, figure out, is this like we don't know what's happening basically. So this is super helpful. The engine I'm very happy to have at my disposal.
Yeah, I think it's great that you're using it for your learning. And in general, I was going to suggest that it's useful. Just don't be too afraid of not making the perfect move, because we are not aiming for the perfect move. Let's leave that for Magnus and Fabiano and Hikaru and the rest of the top.
I'm aiming for a passable. Yeah.
Yeah, any move that's good is fine. Like, it's better to find a good move but play it relatively fast than to think for 10 minutes and then find a perfect move and run out of time later. So being practical and going for positions that you like, even if it's not the best according to the engine. For instance, in this gambit, you said that you were describing how you felt the baddest capture and you didn't know these gambits. I think it's very logical what you played, and it's strong because it takes the center. So I really like your choice here. I really like it.
Yeah, so like here I totally feel exactly what you're saying, that playing an okay move is basically what I was thinking to myself here.
Yeah.
And then if I'm in a threatening scenario where a lot of pieces are about to be traded or a king is under attack, then I want to play the best move, and then I don't want to play the okay move, because
exactly, yes,
the difference is dangerous there.
Yeah.
But here I feel this can't really. I think I said it too. This can't be bad. Like just take the center.
Yes, you describe it better than I did, because you are absolutely right that most of the time an okay move is great, being practical, just going for a good move, but there are critical moments when there's a threat of mate, a threat of fork, something very decisive about to happen, and then you have to find maybe the only move. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, played into this.
So here you reacted with e4. I really like this choice as well, because you're gaining space and you're taking away the f3 square from the knight, which would be the natural developing square.
Not used to this.
No?
No, as Karakon, I don't feel like I get this setup. I don't think I ever had. So this was new to me.
This is then, as you said that this was all new and such, but I'm really impressed that you reacted with e5 and now e4. So once again, there will be so many cases where you are not familiar with the line that your opponent plays, whether they do it on purpose or not. It doesn't matter. It will be a new position. But as long as you react in a logical way, you're fine here. I like this position for black. Only 5 moves in, you've already gained space. You're making it more difficult for white to develop their pieces. So you're doing a really good job here. He went knight e2, knight f6, castle. I was later listening to Hafthor's side of this too, and he really likes castling, so he was happy about getting that castle king side in, and bishop g4.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good habit that I may not be super good at yet, is castling early enough. I don't know, maybe I delay it too much sometimes, I feel. But I'm trying not to delay it. I think I more delayed it too much before, and I'm trying to get used to, tucking away the king in time.
As long as you are aware that there are positions where you can get into trouble immediately if you don't castle quickly, and there are other type of positions where it's all right to delay it. What do you think in general is a guideline that you can have in mind when it comes to castling, when it's all right? For instance, now your king is still on e8. Why do you think it's fine here that you haven't castled just yet?
I think it's fine because he can't check me with his light square bishop, because I can block it. And like basically I'm not under serious attack, so that's why it's fine. And there's no attack that I can see that will happen quick enough that I can't castle if it happens.
Very good, very good. That the only check would be the bishop check, and you can simply use your knight as a shield. And in terms of other files, the e file is not open, so the more open the position in general, the more likely that you need to get your king out of it. The open files and the e file. So
yeah, if his rook gets to the e1, I would want to get out of there as soon as possible for sure.
Exactly. Very good job. Bishop g4 I also like a lot because it pins the knight. So in Pogchamps, as we talked about this, puzzles and tactical positions that's so useful, and creating pins is just, you know, adding to it, adding more room for error for your opponent. Like, they need to be aware that that knight is pinned, so they shouldn't move it away. You might forget about it, you might move the queen away later from the protection of the knight. So creating positions like this, making your opponent be closer to a possible blunder is always good.
Yeah, complicating the situation, because I was already thinking that now that knight can't really move, he's not really protecting the central pawn. So it just, yeah, trying to, whenever I see a chance to do a pin, I always think that could be nice.
That's good thinking, and it's very useful to pin the opponent's pieces. So keep doing that. He did the same though. Hafthor likes his pins too.
Yeah. That was a little bit annoying to me. I didn't want him to do this, but yeah, he comes up.
Yeah, and here after bishop g5, how are you feeling about the game? I was watching, but I was also switching back and forth from the streams. Do you remember this moment, and how are you feeling about your position here?
I felt very, very mediocre. I was happy about the being in control of the center, but I wasn't super confident or comfortable, basically.
Yes. After bishop g5, what were you thinking about his threat? So he obviously is pinning your knight. What else did you detect in the position that white is trying to achieve?
I felt like he was attacking my d5 pawn already with 2 pieces, and that, you know, I could be losing my center.
Yeah.
And I think he was ahead of me in castling, so I'm just scared that he's gonna activate his rooks before me. That's pretty much what I was thinking. And one thing, when it comes down with the bishop, I feel I am kind of forced to go with the bishop here, because I really don't want to take like that if he trades.
Yes.
I guess I could take with a queen too, but yeah, I didn't really consider that.
I think the move you played is the best. The only issue is that here in this moment, it's already actually very difficult for you to deal with all those threats that you mentioned, the pin and the d5 pawn. What do you think would have been the best response for him after bishop e7?
I think right now, his best response, I think, would be if he traded my knight, and then he's already on this twice, and I'm only defending it once.
Yes.
So, and it's with a queen, and queen is not really, she's more of an attacker than a defender. So yeah, I think if he traded here, he could take here, I guess. Yeah, I think would take with the knight. And then this guy will also end up being sort of isolated.
Really good job. That would have been the best line for him. So Hafthor could have taken on f6, as you mentioned. Take on d5 with the knight. I do think that's a good idea. Bishop takes to then attack the pawn on e4 makes sense too. But the knight is beautifully placed on d5, threatening to trade the bishop if he wants to. But overall, he has just won a pawn. So white would have been gaining a bit of material advantage. Not the end of the world, but as you said, it also weakens your other pawn on e4. And the issue with this position is that once he played bishop g5, there's no way out of this. So you played the best response to bishop g5, but it's already too late.
Yeah, I felt that. I felt like I can't solidify my center and cover my knights with the bishop. So, and since I don't have a c pawn to push, and even if I did, there would be a knight in the way.
Yeah,
that d pawn is just looking weak, and that's it.
Exactly. So let's try to learn from this in general. What can we do with this situation? So the move before bishop g5 was knight to c6, which is a very natural developing move. So this is not a move that normally we would blame for anything bad happening, but it gave time for white to pin your knight, threaten to take it, and now the d5 pawn is an issue. So what do you think you could do next time if there's a situation like this?
It's a good question. Not really. I think what I should have done is not even allow this bishop to come down and play this, is what I was intuitively thinking, that if I prevent the bishop from going for the pin in the first place, uh, then that would have defended this by keeping the knight.
Very good job. That's the best move. Excellent thinking.
Oh, really?
It is. It is the only way to deal with this. Yes, excellent. I'm very impressed. That was like, well, you said it after 5 seconds of thinking. Okay, so h6 prevents bishop g5, then the pawn will be fine. Great.
Yeah, but I'm happy it's the best move. I just don't see any other way, because the only other way I see is something like this, but I'm unpinning his knight, and that, like, I seem to be doing him a favor if I move the bishop, and I can't defend this in, like, I want this knight to defend that pawn basically.
Yeah.
So I don't want to lose him.
Exactly. No, very good thinking that if you had to use the bishop to protect the pawn, that's, first of all, you're moving a piece that already has been developed, and it's going to be more passive than where it is now. So h6, really good job. One should be, of course, careful with pushing pawns on the flanks, but h6 is quite a standard move. So it's just about not going like crazy with g5, h5 if you still want a castle there. But h6 as a defensive move, just to guard the g5 square and make sure that he cannot pin your knight, that's actually very common. So we're going to try to think of this as the pattern, because also Danny was explaining that we are not here to point out a one move mistake in this one game, but we're trying to show you how you can use this in other type of positions. So
yeah. No, I'm sure. I feel very familiar with this pin happening.
Yeah.
Be it on the queen side or on the king side, like me getting pinned like that, and not making the preemptive move of pushing up the pawn. Like, this is a move that I don't play much, but maybe should recognize more.
Yeah. It's okay if you don't play it often, because not in every position it makes that much sense. They're beginners, including myself when I was a kid. You just push them automatically to be safe, but it doesn't always make sense. So just always pay attention to the specific position on the board and see if the pin is that strong. If you need to be a bit afraid of it, be cautious about it, and then think about preventing it. Yes, because the other reason why this pin is so annoying, if you look at your pawn structure, so your opponent played an opening that you never saw before. This is not a position, the pawn structure too, you said you normally don't have this on the board, and that's fine. But we're gonna need to think of this a little bit like these two pawns. So you have gained quite some space in the center with those pawns, and they are beautifully standing there in the middle of the board. This is looking great. Only issue with advancing the pawns this much is that they become more vulnerable. As you said, there's no c-pawn. If you had a c-pawn and you could push it to c6, then it would be a very healthy and strong pawn chain. Just because there's no c-pawn, it doesn't mean you're in trouble, but you should be more careful, because ideally it would be a pawn on c6 and another pawn on b7. You would have a line of these pawns, ideally.
Oh yeah, that would have shut out the light square bishop entirely.
Exactly. But since there was already a pawn chain earlier, and no position is perfectly ideal, there are pros and cons to each move, to each capture. So here the disadvantage of your position is that the d5 pawn, this is called the base of the pawn chain. So when you look at your pawn structure, these two pawns are standing a little apart from the rest of your pawns, and the e4 pawn is gonna be fine as long as you have your d5 pawn. So the d5 pawn is crucial to always have it under protection of your pieces, sometimes even overprotected. We call it overprotection when there are more pieces protecting it than needed. Sometimes you just want to make sure nothing happens to that pawn. But in this case, overprotecting it too could mean that you prevent the bishop from being able to pin your knight and eliminate the knight on f6, because that's one of your defenders. That's one of the pieces.
That's my main defender right now.
Exactly.
So it's nice to have the queen as a secondary defender, because then as long as she's last in the take sequence, then she's fine.
Yeah.
But she would never want to go early.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Very well explained. So this was It's not a big mistake at all, because the moment you play knight c6, this is so difficult to foresee that you can get into trouble. And it was just a pawn, so I wouldn't call this that much of a mistake. It's just simply to learn from this pattern that pin was very annoying in this position. Hafthor did not take it. He played h3 because he was also annoyed by your bishop.
Yep, I guess so.
Now that we know what he should have done, what do you think you need to play after h3?
What I need to play here?
Yes.
Possibly since he castled, is it still okay to do this?
Let's calculate that line, because it can get messy.
Yeah, I'm thinking that the reason I see the reason I'm tempted is because I still have my rook on the edge, and he castled, so his rook is on the other side. His king is in proximity. So if I was to push up here, he would take my bishop, I would assume, but I guess he could do other stuff too.
We're gonna do our first visualization exercise. I like to do that during Pogchamps coaching sessions, and Danny thinks I'm torturing my students, but we're gonna do it regardless.
Yeah, I saw him saying that.
So what you need to do, I think it's important, because you cannot take your moves back. You can draw arrows, so you can draw arrows as if it was your game, but you cannot move the pieces. So you'll need to calculate. After h3, black plays h6. And what happens there? So first of all, you mentioned that white could take your bishop, and then you take their bishop. How do you see that position, first of all?
Yeah, so I like to use the arrows to help me visualize the turn order. For me, it's less so for my viewers and more for myself to keep stuff, to think properly. So if he was to take it there, then I could take his bishop immediately, and that's what I would do. And at that point, we've locked these two pawns standing there. I guess my king side is now looking a little bit harder to castle on as well, but since I have an open file for my rook, maybe I won't be interested in castling there.
Very good job. Excellent. Yes. Everything that you said about that position, very well done. The visualization and also analyzing what that position would be like for you. So that seems to be promising for black. But that's not the only option. We need to look at the other line as well.
Yeah. The other possibility is of course, I would make the same move, but he could deviate and still do this exchange. And I would have to immediately take his bishop, I feel. And at that point, he could take here, and already I would be down a piece.
True. Very good job. So that's not a good line for black.
Yeah.
How about, and we still cannot move the pieces, h6 here, bishop takes f6, and what if instead of taking the bishop back on f6, you were to take on e2, so that your bishop wouldn't be hanging on g4, and then you want to capture the bishop on f6.
True. Yeah, so if I go here and he takes, I take here, and now he has to recapture my bishop, and I've gained this knight. So he took my knight here, I took his knight, and after I go there, he takes this. I'm gonna take here, so then the material is even.
Yes, in that line the material is even.
But is it going to be even though? Because it's still gonna end up with the same. This thing is still happening.
Yeah, the pawn is still an issue.
In the end.
Good job. Yeah, good job spotting that. And also, let's do that one more time. This is a very complex and long line. So if h3, h6, bishop takes f6, bishop takes e2, and there, how many options does white have as main candidate moves?
So first option, since I am hitting these, is to retake with his queen, retake with his knight. He could also go in with his bishop and attack my queen.
Exactly. Very well done.
Yeah.
let's calculate that line. I know it's very complex and a long line, but you can do it.
Okay, I'm gonna draw it out then. So if he takes here, he's now taken both of these pieces, and I've only taken this. If he takes there, I would feel very tempted to keep going deeper with my bishop, but I am trying to see if there's something I can do. I feel maybe I would just take his bishop with my queen, but because I feel like it gets my queen up on the 7th, which I like. But he would do this. It was hard.
It's really hard, so take your time. Take your time. I just want to know the material count after all that in that position that you're looking at.
Okay, yeah. Well, I feel, unless I'm reading it wrong, I feel like I'm just going to be down a piece.
Well done.
At the end of this.
That's exactly.
I don't see a way out of it.
That's exactly what's happening. Can you please play out the moves now, everything that you have calculated, so that the viewers can catch up with you? Because this is impressive that you visualize the entire line.
So I would push h6, forcing him to do something. So his candidate moves were basically these two. And this one proves to be stronger, because if I take here, he retakes and immediately gains a piece. So instead, I try to lash out, but he just goes more aggressive and takes another piece. So now he's taken 2 pieces, I've taken 1. And no matter if I retake here or take here, the result is going to be the same. If I take his queen, he takes my queen. And then after I retake and he retakes, I suppose with rooks on either side, then he's still up a piece.
Yes, exactly. Very good job. This is absolutely a very complex line and difficult to visualize, but you've done it. You did a great job. Excellent.
It takes time to calculate for me though. So I've done a lot of puzzles. I'm thinking I'm gonna do more puzzle rush to learn speed more, because doing calculations faster, I feel, is very practical for Pogchamps. I think in a classical game, doing normal puzzles would maybe be very good, but I don't have the time to take 4 minutes on every move that is like this, or like this would take me probably 4 minutes to figure out the entire, or 2 minutes to figure out at least. So yeah, I'm gonna try to be faster.
Sure. And as you said, puzzle rush for the shorter time control makes perfect sense to gain speed. And you don't always have to calculate lengthy lines like this. As I said, okay moves are just as fine. It's simply that if in this position after h3, it comes to you as an idea, okay, so my bishop is hanging, I can move it, I can take on e2, or I could maybe counterattack by pushing h6. Just make sure that you don't end up playing a complex move like h6 without having the time to analyze what happens afterwards.
So the main reason that I ask if the main reason why this is bound to, unless I have some checks or cute ideas, the main reason it's not going to work out is because I'm already under attack twice, right? Like he has 2 attacks going. So even though I push here, I'm 1 move behind.
Yeah.
So I have 2 attacks now on these 2, but he gets to initiate. So he will go one step before, and so
exactly.
that's the idea where it doesn't work out.
Yes, no, that's exactly what's happening. Very well spotted. That as you mentioned, you already have 2 pieces hanging, and white starts capturing first. Because if it was black who starts capturing, everything changes. It's all about whose turn it is, the exact tempi. So very well described. That's the reason why it's not working here.
This guy's fault. He lost the tempi.
He lost the tempo there, exactly. And if you had a check, for instance, in other lines, it may be the case that if you were to you have a hanging piece, but if you can give a check with that piece, then take back that bishop on f6, it may change the entire evaluation. So always depends on the exact position, but as a pattern, you are right. You have already 2 pieces under attack, and white starts taking first.
Yeah, Mountain was smart to castle, so I can't teach his king in any way. Tucked away.
He was. So if we don't play h6, what do you think would be the best response here after h3?
I think what I did in the game was to just back up and keep the pin. I like the idea of having the pin, because what I thought in the game is if I back up here, there's a chance that he overcommits to chasing me or something, that he would make some mistake of pursuing me, but I would in the end get away. So I liked keeping the pin, but I'm not confident that was the best, basically.
Why do you think it may not be the best? And remember what we were analyzing before, not just the h6, but a bit earlier than that. What was another issue with your position?
Well, yeah, the main issue that I feel is that the center is still a problem. And the reason I'm not sure it's the best move is because there's a lot of pieces being involved now. Like, we haven't traded down, so I just feel like I might be missing some possibility somewhere, because there's a lot of... This is where there's a lot of pieces involved, and it's hard to see everything.
Exactly. Yes, it's not simple at all. If you just recall the line where earlier, instead of h3, we were talking about the option of bishop takes f6 for Hafthor, that he could have taken on f6 and then grabbed the pawn on d5. So I'm not sure if you noticed that during the game or not, but once again, we are just here to learn more patterns and
I didn't see it.
You didn't see it.
Yeah, I didn't see it fully. No, that he would remove the defender. I underestimated the danger of this bishop, basically. That the pin is doing, because it's easy to feel like, oh, I moved my knight out, he pins it, and then I come out and the pin is sort of solved, but it has consequences on other squares, because then I'm looking more at this square now, but I'm not covering these two as much. So true. I did not do that.
Yeah, it's all right. If in the game you didn't realize that the pawn is an issue, it makes perfect sense that you played bishop h5, because you weren't afraid about the capture on f6. You didn't notice it. And what you said about trying to tempt your opponent to push the g-pawn as well to weaken their king, that's very useful to do, because as I said earlier, the more options you give to your opponent to go wrong, the better. So good thinking. Now that you know that pawn can be an issue, would you change your move to a different one?
Well, I think at this point it's the same hard decision about giving up the pin, but possibly this would end up not losing the pawn trade. Yeah. So yeah, I should probably have considered doing this as well. Exactly.
I think it's totally fine that you wanted to keep the pin and you didn't realize that the pawn was hanging, so that's okay. If the pawn wasn't hanging, then bishop h5 is the best move. Keep the bishop on the board, keep the pin. But for another occasion, when there will be a vulnerable spot in your position, let's use that tempo. So he's forcing you to move the bishop regardless. In this case, retreating the bishop, moving once again the same piece is not too bad, because you have to move it anyway. So
yeah, we've at least provoked him to push out a pawn there. So there's some there's reason to move this guy, basically.
Exactly. Very, very good thinking. So bishop h5 happened in the game, and Hafthor went for knight to b5. I'm not exactly sure where the knight is heading, but maybe he was hoping to create a fork later on c7. If the bishop was on f4, it would be a different case. It's not exactly a threat yet, but that's an aggressive move. And you chased him back immediately. You told him, don't stay here. I don't like
Yeah,
this.
I looked at it and I felt like this knight is just overcommitted, and I thought about where he could go and said my queen can cover these two squares,
Mhm.
and he can't go in here because my horsey and my rook could take him back there.
Yeah.
So he has to go back, and now I won tempo is one thinking.
Yeah. Good. Yes. This was a practical decision to chase that knight away before it causes any issues. So it wasn't threatening anything on its own, but maybe Hafthor wanted to have then the bishop too to attack the c7 square. So it's a good thinking, a very practical decision to tell him go back. I don't like it here.
I also become happier seeing my pawns standing like this when the white square bishop is still in the game than having them like this. I know he probably couldn't attack this guy anyway because of these guys are there for now, but just long term, like these pawns look safer than if they stand like that.
I see. Yeah, it's interesting how you describe that, and it's true that if you have your pawns like on d5, e4, and now this queen size structure, that's restricting the mobility of the light squared bishop of white because they are on light squares. So it's true that white can try to attack the d5 pawn, but if you have it well protected, then that pawn is taking away the c4 square from that bishop and covers up the entire diagonal. So this b3 bishop will not be active as long as you have your pawns restricting the mobility like this. So that's good thinking too. You took on e2. I was wondering about that decision.
Yeah, I was not really sure how I wanted to progress, and I took. I'm not sure that I basically saw too many things that I was happy about, and then I thought, oh, trading this looked like an okay move, but in retrospect, I don't know if I would rather have pushed like the B pawn or done something else instead. Yeah, it's. I think I just ended up going with it because I wasn't sure what to do.
It worked out very well in the game, basically, because after the capture, Hafthor took back with the queen, allowing knight takes d4, so he blundered his d4 pawn.
Actually, I remember now. I remember that. Yeah, I was actually eyeing up the fact that I was on the pawn mid. I was thinking about that, but I missed that he could take like this and it still defended. That's what I was. So it works. It works out here.
Exactly.
But maybe it shouldn't have.
He played a more natural move, and it's gonna happen at Pogchamps really a lot of times that people play the more natural looking move. The queen takes e2 would be the better move if it wasn't for the specific case of the pawn being under attack and hanging right now. Now, if you spotted since that he could have taken back with the knight, so the combination wasn't winning a pawn, would you change anything in terms of your move order?
Oh, true. Since the knight is not threatening anything immediately, this knight is not doing anything too active. I could initiate this idea, and then the only capture is this, and then, but he's still protecting it from there. I guess, yeah, I would take here. He retakes, and then I push here. And when he hops away, then I can take here? Is that right?
Yeah, let's double check it, but very good with the visualization.
Because his knight would not at least be protecting, and his queen would be offset. So takes.
Yeah.
Takes. And then push. And then he has to move, and this is the only logical.
Exactly.
And since his queen is covering this square, now I can go here.
Excellent. So changing the move order by playing first the capture on e2 and then pushing the knight away would have won the pawn, just like in the game, but you're forcing him to go.
It would be
for
forced,
that.
yeah.
Yes.
I've noticed in my puzzles that move order, I so often have the right idea, but do the moves in the wrong order. So that's really common. That's something I need to work more on. But I'm learning bit by bit. It's just about calculating the differences. So thinking about the fact that if I do this, then go here, and go here, then this doesn't work anymore. So, but that comes down to branching the idea, calculating like 2 lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
I
very
wonder-
often calculating 1 line.
I was wondering too if at this stage, when you were thinking of pushing a6, was it just about that knight on b5 being a bit scary, it might have been annoying you that there will be threats, or did you already have this idea that he will take on e2, so you may not have realized the idea just yet?
So at this point, I have absolutely no thought about e2. I'm completely tunnel visioning on this knight.
Yes.
And I have not thought about my future in any form or way. I'm not bothered by the knights, but I just see a chance to gain tempo.
Yeah.
Because I feel he moves in, I push up, he moves back. That's 2 moves for him, 1 move for me, and we're back to, original starting position, but he lost 2 moves. So yeah, I was pretty short-sighted in my planning there, but yeah, it's easy to get distracted by something like this. This is very invasive.
Exactly. No, I don't blame you at all for it. And the fact that then you spotted bishop takes e2 and it worked out, it's just totally normal as well in a game of chess. Really, there will always be mistakes like that. So don't be harsh on yourself. This is just to learn for future games that if you had spotted the idea earlier, I'm sure that you would have realized too that the move order matters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't think I would have, without you pointing it out, I don't think I would have understood that the move order could have forced the pawn win here.
Yeah, this position is difficult for it. I think it's not obvious at all that you can take on e2, then chase the knight away, then win a pawn. But in general, whenever there's a complex line of captures, especially with lots of captures, make sure that you consider the alternatives with move order, because the move order can change a lot. Whether there's what you take first, if there's a check that comes in between, we call them intermediate moves, when there's just a check that you throw in on move 2, move 3 of the variation. So move order can matter a lot in positions when there's something concrete. So enforcing lines, move orders can matter a lot.
I feel it's something I should learn to do more is, and I feel like I'm learning to do it, probably thanks to the puzzling. I think 10 days ago I didn't do it at all. Like I didn't think that way, but now I'm starting to think more in terms of like candidate moves, like, oh, this, in this situation, I didn't do it, but thinking about what is a decent move in every spot.
Exactly. And you reacted well to knight b5, so a6 is a good reaction. As you said, you can win a tempo, you make sure that the knight has to retreat, so that's fine too. It's an okay move, and taking on e2, even if we had kept captured back on e2 with the knight, it's still an okay position, so there's absolutely no issues with this. And it worked out fine. It worked out just fine because Hafthor took back on e2 with the queen, you captured a pawn on d4, and after queen d2, you did react once again in the best way. If you remember what you played here, that is the strongest move.
If I can remember.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure you know it. I'm sure you know it.
No. That's actually, I don't remember. That's the thing. I don't know. What would a yesterday's Waga do here? Did I just run away with my knight again?
So let's see what's the threat of white apart from the knight hanging. Obviously, you already spotted that.
Oh, I think I don't want to run away, so I think I take.
Yes.
That's what I'm thinking.
Exactly.
And I was actually at this point I was definitely thinking about his queen is now here. I was pointing out to myself that there's 3 attackers here, and how this could quickly look ugly. So I was actually less worried about my knight at this point, and more worried about what's gonna happen in the extension of things here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why in the game I took this, because this guy is now slightly more safe, because this guy's not gonna. I was looking first if I can defend my pawn with this, but no matter how I try and turn these knight moves, it does not work. So instead, removing one attacker felt like a good take.
That's exactly the right way of thinking, and that's how you found the best move, taking the bishop. Very good job. So you don't lose time. That's a tempo, the capture, and also you get rid of one of the attackers. Well done.
Yeah, I'm really glad that I didn't just run away. Sorry, I'm not as sharp now. I'm not a morning person, so.
No, it's totally fine, and you don't have to know your games by heart. I was just joking that I was sure you remember the capture and why you did it, and you explained that d5 pawn was getting vulnerable. Well done.
Yeah. At least in the game, I was, yesterday's Waga saw this move. He covered it, so it's good.
And now you castled at last.
Yes, at long last. I feel like Caracan, you do sometimes maybe castle a little bit later than some other lines.
Yes.
So maybe it's not so unnatural, but this was definitely, now I feel the play is gonna be here for him, like on these two. I'm visualizing that he probably will come over with these 2 guys here, and I just do not want to be on e8 at all with my king.
Yes, good thinking. Did it occur to you if this d5 pawn is still an issue, if he takes on f6, or that was just not a concern?
Yeah, it did occur to me, because at this point I did see it, so I was unhappy about it, because I feel like, okay, he's gonna win back a pawn and this guy's gonna be hanging. But then I thought it might be okay somehow. I tried to stay positive about it, but I wasn't happy about it.
Yeah,
basically.
That's excellent if you spotted it, but you weren't too concerned about it, because, as you said, the king is a bigger issue than a pawn. So getting your king into safety is more of a priority than trying to keep the pawn at any cost.
One thing that I saw after thinking about it for about 90 or like 2 minutes, 90 seconds, 2 minutes, is that if this chain was to occur, like say I'm castled, and say he goes here, I take here, and he's now attacking this twice, I'm defending it once. So he could take. But what I did see was that it opens up this.
Very good.
So it's not really a pawn win for him. He takes away a central pawn, and I'm taking away a doubled pawn, so it doesn't feel great. But at least I did something. So...
Excellent if you spotted it. I'm just being told in my chat too by one of your viewers that you said it yesterday when you were playing, that you will be able to take on b2 if that combination happens. So that's great.
Good. I'm not lying. Thank you, viewers. Yeah.
I think they are here to make sure that everything is verified, all the information. Now I was sure that at this stage, if you thought about the capture, then you will also spot that the b2 pawn is hanging in the end. So well done about that. That you castled, and you realize that in worst case scenario you will take another pawn, not as valuable as a central pawn, but it's a pawn, so extra pawn is still good.
Yeah, keeping at least the pawn exchanges going 1 for 1 is good enough.
Well done. He brought the rook to e1. We are not here to criticize the mountain, of course, but in terms of chess improvement and learning, yes, I see that arrow.
Yeah.
Why do you think that move is better? And in terms of the rook placement, which rook goes where?
So it's just because, like I said before, I feel these 2 files, he has no pawn here, so this is semi-open files, right? That's what it's called.
Yeah.
And I feel he wants to have both his rooks on these, and then I'm gonna be really struggling to defend my 2 pawns. So if he goes here, he just blocks in his other rook and prevents development.
Exactly, exactly. It's so important what you said, and you immediately spotted why the other move would have been better.
Yeah, I was happy when I saw that move because I feel that that gave me confidence that my rooks are gonna shape up in time, because this is a slower development. He's also staring at the advanced of the two, so he would have to, like, I would rather in his position, if he's staring at the back pawn, it would be stronger, right?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And now it's gonna be really difficult for him to activate the f1 rook unless he pushes the f pawn. But one should be careful about those pawn pushes, especially since
I've lost a lot of games like that.
okay,
I have lost.
You have experience, all right?
No, my chat has been sharing with me that there's some saying like what was it? Something about F for don't touch the pawn or something. I don't know exactly how it goes. There's something like don't move your F pawn, basically.
Yes. It definitely is a risky thing to do. There are positions where it's great, of course, and you see grandmasters moving their f pawn quite regularly. But I think at the Pogchamps level, it's safer unless it's like you see that, oh, this must be a strong move. If you win something with it, if there's some tactical idea behind it, sure. But in general,
I remember now. It's the forget about it pawn. Forget
about it pawn.
Yeah,
I haven't heard it,
yes.
but I love it. That's great. Forget about it pawn.
Yes.
So yeah, let's forget about that indeed.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm learning too. Rook e8, very natural. Queen e3, and this is I was watching in this moment, and I was sure you will spot the idea here after Queen e3, which was a mistake.
Yeah, I saw it. Not the first few seconds. I probably should recognize even faster, but now I have a protected by my queen pawn that can move up and fork. So that fork is gonna be. It's just gonna be material unless he can check me and win the tempo, but he can't because I did castle like a smart player would.
Excellent. So you're winning a piece. Well done. And I was so proud also that after the capture, Hafthor played bishop h6, which is a scary move.
Yeah, and I also didn't see the scary part about that in the first few seconds. I don't know if I was just too focused on the open files here and my pawn, but then I was like, oh yeah, there's a mate pawn over here. But yeah, that was a good move. Very annoying.
But you immediately, I think it took you just a few seconds to spot that there are a couple of ways in which you can prevent the checkmate on g7, and both of them are good options. I saw you thinking of knight h5 and g6. Knight h5 is not an easy move to spot, and you mentioned it almost instantly.
Yeah, I've seen this pattern before.
Oh,
so
great.
it's just about if this square is safe or not, and I just looked at the board. There's nothing he can do. The only thing he can do afterwards was to come down, but then we can still insist with this, and now we've kind of gained. I don't know, not really gained tempo, but we got more of a defensive structure, I guess.
Mm-hmm. It's excellent that you have seen this pattern because it's not a natural move that you are attacking the queen and at the same time protecting the pawn, plus placing it on the rim of the board, normally not ideal for the knight. And after queen g4, you still need to know what's the right follow-up, because if you were to move the knight, game over.
Yeah, exactly. Right now there's only one move, really. There's anything else is bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think if I move this, I just lose my knight, and so yeah, we have to push up. Yeah, the knight move I just did because I've seen good players do it. I'm like, this looks like a good defense.
Excellent. So you were following the World Championship. You said, did you follow any other event on Twitch or any other coverage?
So I'll be honest. Like, I haven't played much chess at all at any point in my life, but I've watched more recently. I've watched a lot of Hikaru's stream, and I'm a big fan of Chess Bra and his stream. In the past, I used to watch Chess Network on YouTube a lot, so I've digested a lot of chess by watching. And you know, now I've found your channel too, so I've got even more to watch.
Thank you so much. That's very kind. But it's great that you have been a consumer of chess content, much like Moist Critical in the first Pogchamps. Like I don't know how much he played, but I know that he was also a viewer of Hikaru's channel and possibly the Chess Bros too. So in one way or the other, you've had some chess input, but not in a methodical study way. It was more like a content that you like to watch.
I just think it's, you know, I think it's fun to watch, and then you tell, I've told friends like, I like to watch chess. They think that I mean I watch classical chess, like, you know, hours, and I'm like, no, like chess can be fast and actually really exciting. So yeah, I just need to try and put in practice, and it's like I've got almost too much experience watching something to the point that you understand it somewhat. But then you need to learn how to do it yourself, and it's like learning to walk a little bit. So
exactly, that's very, very well described. And I would assume that then this is your first chess tournament.
Yeah, for sure.
You may have been watching chess for a year or two, but this is the first time you compete, and that feels different.
No. I mean, I when I was watching some of the things that Wrench made it sound like I've been, you know, like following chess over the board and like been part of stuff, and then Hikaru said I was like an OG or something. I'm like, I actually played 8 games of chess in my life before this event. Like, I'm not, play-wise, I'm not at all experienced. So I'm trying to quickly use your guys' help and learn as fast as I can.
But it explains that you pick up everything so quickly, that you've been exposed to chess content and games and analysis as a viewer. And now maybe that's what helps you recognize these patterns faster. Like Knight H5, I was like, where did that come from?
But this point I actually did do what I said I should do more and think about candidate moves, and I think I do it more when I'm defending than when there's no real attack going on. Because previously when he moved his knight to, I don't know where it was, here, something, probably not, but when he moved his knight, he was here. Then there's no real attack or defense going on, so I might not consider candidate moves. But here it's literally a mate in one, so you think about your best options much more.
Exactly. I'm impressed that you soaked up all this knowledge from watching chess content, and now you're putting it into practice. But as you said, it's not the same to watch and to understand what the streamer or commentators explain and how it feels when it's your actual game. And there's tension, lots at stake, the pressure of just tens of thousands watching, as on a side note, in your first ever chess tournament.
Actually, I think that part I'll handle better than I'm sure most of the others, because I'm competitive, so I wasn't sure if I was gonna get like nervous and sweaty playing in this, but the amount of years I've cast grand finals of Dota or finals of Dota and like a lot of big events, so viewership I'm not scared of, and I played in a lot of tournaments in Dota, so at least I have tournament nerves going for me.
That's great.
That part's fine.
Yeah, it's important. It's important that you have that experience.
Not this move.
I wanted to stop here. I'm so sorry, but we have to.
I went for a run after yesterday, and all I could see was this move. I was talking to Eric Hansen, and he said, I normally think about chess positions when I work out, so I'm sure you're going to be seeing moves when you go for your run. I said, I will only see one thing, and it's this, and this, but mainly this. I did not see this in the game, but the main reason I was still stuck in my defensive thinking here, and then I thought, he comes down with this guy, and I felt this doesn't really add more attacks immediately to me. And what I thought here when he comes down, I actually had some reasoning, is that he comes down and his idea might be to double his rooks, is what feels the most immediate, because otherwise he should probably come down all the way here to abuse this pin. So he should have come down here, probably would be better. But I was thinking, if he doubles his rooks, I'll go here, and he won't be able to use his doubled rook because I have check promotion. So I actually thought about something, but then I missed, a pretty spicy fork. So yeah.
But now that you have explained that you already saw the rook being doubled,
I did have 17
and you have a pawn
seconds
to
here.
promote. I mean, that is impressive too.
I did have 17 seconds or something here, so I just saw this, thought this looks okay, and went with it. I'm not under immediate, I'm dying danger, is what I thought. So I just missed a little fork.
Yeah. It's all right. It's all right, since you're already a piece up. It's not like the end of the world that you missed this opportunity. It would have been even more material, but the position is winning regardless after c takes b2. It's good that you noticed that later that you had that chance. Did you see it, by the way, in the game? Did you? Because he moves away. So
no, I actually didn't have time to even. I did not recognize this in the game at all. That this. That this position even occurred. I did not recognize it. So yeah, because it's quickly. He moved very quickly as well after I moved. So if this position had time to actually, if I had time to actually soak up this position, I would have seen it and beat myself a bit over that. But I didn't recognize it. So it was only after the game I learned it. I was like, oh no.
Well, sometimes it's better. I was gonna tell you that in this case, it's not that big of a difference because your position is winning with a piece up. It would also be winning with a rook up. So it's still a great position. But in other cases, there will be positions where if you miss your tactical opportunity, you may be just on equal material or you may be down material. And those moments will be more difficult sometimes during the game. If you notice it the move later, I don't know if you were watching day one of the coverage of some of the matches.
I watched all of it. Yeah.
You watched all of it. For instance, when Grip played against Scissors, and Scissors didn't take Grip's rook, which was hanging, and then he noticed it, but he noticed it the move later.
Yes, and he beat himself up hard about it. Yeah. Scissors felt to me a very emotional player when he plays. It was very fun match to see, and I was cheering for Gripex anyway, because first of all he plays League, which is normally we're supposed to hate each other, but at least he plays the same type of game that I play. Yes. And he's Danish, which I'm also supposed to hate Danish people, but he's Scandinavian, so because he plays the right type of game and is Scandinavian, I supported him.
Makes sense. And you read very well, Scissors, that his emotions were getting the better of him, because he then, for the next couple of moves, he was still thinking about that missed chance. And his position was stuck still on that. Fine, but he was stuck indeed, and that's very dangerous in a game, because you need to. It's not easy, but you need to put that aside. It happened. It's in the past. A new page. Think of the current position.
And that's something as well. One of those things where I think being a Dota player will have a benefit for me, because we have that principle is so true in Dota 2. You cannot make a mistake and then be stuck on it for the rest of the game. You have to immediately let go of the fact that, okay, that was bad, and I'll try to solve. So I think coming from another game that has the same type of punishment, if you get hooked up on a bad thing, I think helps me.
Excellent. I see you're using a lot of your Dota experience in.
It actually helps. I think our games are very similar, apart from, because I've actually explained it to my grandfather and my grandparents as a 5 versus 5 chess video game, sort of. It's like it is very similar in many ways. So that's how I explain it to my very old grandparents, so they sort of understand.
Now I will understand it too, because I was asking yesterday after we had the coaching session scheduled. I was asking Kevin, my boyfriend. He plays League sometimes with his friends, and also we had a few of his friends around. They play League too. I tried to play League, but like once on stream, and I'm terrible at it. But I still don't even understand. I know this is gonna be like, what is she even talking about? But like I was asking them, what's the difference between League and Dota? And I know I shouldn't say things like that, but I don't understand fully. Like, because for me, I don't know anything about League either. So I just see it's a 5v5. So I'll need to take Dota lessons. I need to take Dota lessons.
I can briefly say that I played Dota for about 35,000 hours. I started 17 years ago. And League is a game that came up as a Dota clone. So it's based off Dota in the original. And League is very much aiming to be more casual and approach the younger audience and be more approachable. Dota is difficult and it's not fun the first 100 hours. It's not going to be fun. You're going to be bad. It's a punishing game that's really hard until you know a lot of things and have experienced it. So League, I mean, I know we have 2 League players in the tournament. You can feel free to call me out on this, but League is an easier game than Dota. And Dota is just, it's the more complicated of the two. It's a Dota elitism. While I support you guys in your games, I will still be real here. And I have a standing challenge to any of the League players if we play. But yeah, if I beat a League player, I want him to play a day of Dota. And if he beats me, I will play a day of League. That's a standing challenge I have to any of the 2 League players if we play.
I didn't know there's so much at stake.
Yeah. I mean, our 2 communities are very much rivaling communities. So I would do a 24-hour League stream if I know that he would do one if he loses. You know.
I'm gonna pass this on. We can clip that part of the stream and pass it on to the League players when you face them. I'm looking forward to that.
Yep. So yeah.
Thank you for the explanation, because I didn't know. I know I should be ashamed of it, but I didn't know about the difference.
Yeah, no, it's perfectly reasonable. I mean, at least you've heard of the game. Not everyone knows that Dota exists. League is way more popular. It's a bigger game.
I think I knew of Dota before League, not because League didn't exist, but in the chess community, there are a couple of grandmasters that really like Dota. I don't know if you heard of Jan Nepomniachtchi.
I haven't heard, but I'll have to reach out to some of them.
Yeah, no, he streams on Twitch, and I think he competed at some of the Dota events. He's one of the top grandmasters in Russia. He's on the Olympic team of Russia, and he is absolutely in love with Dota. As far as I know.
That's super cool. Yeah, I knew that we had some Dota professional players who were also like city. You know, one guy was the champion of his area in Russia in chess. PGG for my chat was a chess champion as well. So there's some, you know, I know that there's been some overlap in people who are talented in both.
I'm being told that Nepomniachtchi played Dota 1, so maybe that's why you didn't see him. But I think he's still a fan.
Yeah, no, that's amazing.
And thank you so much, everyone, also for the link to Jan's Twitch.
Oh yeah.
Chat. I'll pass it to Nicholas after the stream. But now let's focus on what we are here for. Is that you're competing in Pogchamps too, and even though you missed that fork, you won the game afterwards. It's you already said that after Rookie 5 you saw this motive that the queen is pinning your pawn, so the knight on h5 is hanging. Very well spotted that. So you play this move quickly. In terms of time management, though, because you said at this stage you already were low on time. How did you feel about that? Did it make you nervous?
This queen move or my time in general?
The time.
Okay, yeah. No, I was actually not nervous at all about the time. I know that I went low, but like I said, I've played only like 4 games with +5, and I felt like, wow, I have so much time. When I'm down to 20, it's actually not over, because I'm used to playing blitz and like straight up losing on time if I'm down to 20. But
Yeah.
in this time control, I feel pretty confident. Maybe it could have been worse if he didn't play the queen and just keep complicating the situation. But I felt like I felt confident that I've dealt with the main attack here and that I can simplify, and then the moves are going to be easier now.
Exactly. It's great that even though this is your first chess tournament, you didn't feel nervous about the time situation during this game either. Because I know you told me in general with the increment you feel safe, but I was curious if it made any difference that yesterday was your first ever tournament game at chess, and if it affected you in any way. But it's great that it didn't.
No, I was aware of my time going low, and when I was, when this attack was starting, I did feel like somewhere around back here, I think I was already down to like 1 minute and 30 seconds or something, and I recognized that I didn't have much time, but I felt fine with it. It didn't make me so nervous. My girlfriend said that it made her really nervous watching it, and my chat similarly was saying stuff like that. But no, I think I just see the time as a resource, and I try to use it.
Then it's good. Yes, I saw it in your community, and a couple of your viewers asked me to talk to you about time management. But if you're fine, then I think we are good. It's only that if it comes to an Armageddon or a Blitz game as a tiebreaker in the knockout, then we will.
It's a mentality switch, right?
Exactly.
Because that's what I noticed from the Scissors and Gripex is that Scissors was not mentality switched to Armageddon. Yeah. He was going very slow, and he was thinking about previous moves still.
Yeah.
So you just have to play passable, fast moves. Does not have to be perfect. Just try to do natural development and just do stuff.
Yeah. Matthew is telling me that I should ignore you and you need to be faster.
Don't listen to him.
But you're
I'll
very
work
right
on
about
it.
the mentality, and that's what happened to Scissors. I fully agree. He lost on time in the Armageddon because he couldn't switch, and it's difficult to switch because you're just coming from 2 10+5 games, and then to switch to Blitz mode is not easy at all. It happens on the highest level of chess too, when you have seen some of the events and Hikaru competing, and it happens even to the very best in the world. Hikaru, Magnus, and all the rest of the top grandmasters, sometimes they find that difficult to switch when you need to, but it's part of the competition. It's difficult for both players.
Yeah. From here on, I just felt, the moment I saw this queen move, I felt now super confident. I feel like I've won the game the moment he moved this queen. So now, because the reason being, I just trade down and it's simplifying, so time pressure is not so annoying anymore. That's basically it.
You're right that after the queen trade, it's already an easy endgame with the piece up. Here in this moment, I'm sure that you calculated somewhat what happens if he takes, but I'm just gonna quickly ask you what was gonna be your response without moving the pieces, of course, if he takes the rook on d8.
Take with this. This is what I was thinking.
Yeah, you can take back with that so that the bishop is not hanging.
Yeah,
any other
because
move
if
that come to your mind now? That's a great move, of course. There's no need to find out.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking during the game. Yeah, the entire reason that I said before that I wanted to have this pawn here is so I can just promote with check, and then that would be then I could retake afterwards, or find some other attacking idea afterwards.
Excellent. So both taking back with the bishop, but even stronger if you promote with a check and then take the rook. Well done. Yeah. Yes, and from here on the game was basically over, as you said. You took the rook as well, and you converted very, very convincingly this first game. In the second game, were there any moments where you thought that you had any doubts, or if we briefly look at the second game too?
Yeah, we can look at it. I felt not really doubts. I felt like I wasn't certain that I was better at one point. If you recall, the point I was thinking about moving my rook, my A1 rook over to the C1 file.
Yeah.
I felt, is this truly better? But then, yeah, after I managed to push his queen away and that pawn was hanging, then I felt good. But before that, I was just uncertain of how to make it winning. It felt kind of closed. I mean, I was playing the London, so it's not meant to be explosive, perhaps in the early game. But yeah, I just wasn't. I wasn't sure that it was better in the beginning.
Yeah, it makes sense. And as you said, in the London, it's not so easy to get a winning position in 8 moves. It's normally a closed position where mistakes may come at a later stage. Can you see that I changed the board? Does it still show you?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'll
And we can
flip it as
the
well. So I'm
board.
on the.
Yes, so you play the London system. The mountain played bishop f5 and e6. That's a nice setup.
Symmetrical start.
Exactly.
But now it changes. Yeah.
Yeah, very solid. But after the trade, at least there's a bit of a difference. And if he takes, which he did, then the pawn structure becomes somewhat different. These small differences can make the game more exciting. I'm sure you realize that if it's a completely mirror position, it can be very dull if everything is the same.
In the beginning, yeah, but I feel fine if they mirror because white is still the first guy to move, so
Yeah.
you have all the chances to.
Exactly. If you have the white pieces, you don't mind the mirror. Once there's a capture, you're the first to take the pieces.
Yeah.
Good. And now, because of the pawn structure has changed, you doubled the pawns, but that helps you have a stronger control of the center and the semi-open c-file, which later you managed to use for your rook. Queen to b3 is a very logical move, because after the bishop is gone from c8, this pawn on b7 is vulnerable.
That's why I went there. I feel he has to move that pawn. So I'm kind of getting there for free, is what I feel. Like my queen is getting off the d1 sort of for free.
Very good thinking that you are winning a tempo basically with that move. If I were to play, I'm just gonna make a different move for Hafthor. b6 is logical. I'm just curious, if he had developed the knight, what would you play here?
I think I would most likely feel like this is a trap. I would feel like this is good, but after he goes here, he's kicking me off and he's looking at this. So I didn't evaluate this because it didn't happen really in the end, but I think I would not have taken this and just done this or this. Wait, whoops. Or this. One of those two.
Excellent that you wouldn't take the pawn. I'm gonna ask you to visualize that position after queen takes b7, and what would you play there if it was your game with the black pieces?
I guess there's another thing you can do. I was first thinking if takes here goes here, which obviously pushes on a straight line back, and that also makes it so I can't actually retreat, can I? Am I just trapped and dead?
Let's see. Let's visualize that. So queen takes b7, and then you mark that rook move. Where can the white queen go?
Well, we can take this, is what we can do. And I think that's the only safe option, right? But it is taking a second pawn. So that seems like, because I'm just gonna do this. This is what I normally do when I play, is I try to mark the not safe squares.
Excellent.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, perfect. I also call them safe or not safe.
If when I'm really struggling in a puzzle or in a situation I need to calculate, yeah, this shows that my queen has in total one move right now. So yeah, that doesn't. Yeah, I guess if black defends, then I go here. I'm not sure what black does after.
So queen takes b7, and we are looking for a move for black in that position. What do you think is the strongest move?
Yeah. Yeah, it's I mean, black would really want to have both the rooks. Wait, would it? Am I missing that he should take or go here with this guy from the first place instead of? I feel like there's a queen trap if he went here instead. Correct?
I'm gonna ask you to double check that and tell me if that is
Yeah,
correct.
I just assumed that he's gonna make this move, but I'm blind to that he could make this move. I'm gonna wait. Take.
Yeah.
He goes here, and yeah, I already calculated that there was no safe square apart from this one, and now there's a rook staring at it. So I'm dead. My queen is gonna die.
Excellent! You trapped the queen. You're winning the queen.
Yeah, I
game.
did it.
Well done. Well done.
Trapped my own
it.
queen. Yeah. So yeah, I didn't realize that this rook would come over, but I would be avert to the idea of just charging in alone with the queen. I tried to think to myself that the queen should have help when she does stuff.
Yeah.
And a rook on the c file, for instance, would be already nice, or connecting my rooks before.
Excellent. It's good that you already were cautious about that queen takes b7 move without even seeing that the queen gets trapped. So it's good that you think of it like the queen needs help. You cannot just go into the opponent's camp with one piece. Normally, it's not a good idea.
Yeah. No, I mean, initially this move did come with the idea of this, but I had not fully calculated what happens if I take. But I think I think I would try to before I do this, because it still looks scary. There's a lot of like going into this this part of the board where there's I mean there's seven black pieces, and I'd be the only white piece over there. It looks terrifying to commit my queen to it.
Very good that you have that alarm system telling you that it may not be the safest, and it still is a good move. So I think queen b3 is still a very strong move, because you want your opponent to be afraid of threats. So whether it's in this moment it's hanging because there's a knight on b8. So first in the position where you play it, it is a threat. But even if he already had the knight on d7, you can still make it look like it's a threat. So
yeah,
it's always all right to make moves like that, because chess is about outsmarting your opponent and giving them more and more room for error. Just give them opportunities to go wrong. So the more threats or threat-looking moves you make, the easier it is for them to go wrong, or at least just start be worried, because emotions matter a lot too, the psychological side of chess. So let them worry, let them feel like they are on the defensive side, and that you have the control, that you are the one dictating the game, and that helps a lot too.
Yeah, it's pressure. The pressure in chess is very real. You can feel. I'm not talking about viewers or something. I'm talking like the fact that pieces are staring at you is scary.
Yeah, exactly. So that was a really good move, and well spotted that it would have been a trap to take the pawn, but still he pushed the pawn because he sees it's hanging, and it's a very logical response to it. Not a bad move. This position is still about equal, but you're the one that's causing problems, threats to your opponent, so he has to be reacting to your moves.
Yeah.
And after knight g4, you pushed e4. I was listening here in this moment. I remember about the pawn structure, that you were like, if he takes, you can straighten your pawn structure so that you will not have double pawns anymore, or maybe you will push later if he doesn't take.
Yeah, if he takes, I feel that would be best case scenario, because right now this guy is beyond useless, but his only purpose in life is to maybe become an e-pawn. So yeah, I feel the one thing he allows me to do is this advance, and that's worth something.
True.
So I
Very
pushed
true.
there, and I felt I thought about it for a while that if he takes, I'm super happy, and if he doesn't take, that's also all good.
Excellent, excellent thinking. And it's also good on a side note that you weren't afraid of this knight jumping to g4 because I started looking at the h2 pawn.
Yeah, yeah. At first I was thinking, oh, he has attacking ideas, but there's no bishop in the game. There's no one else joining for this. The rooks are far, and these guys are not involved. So as long as this guy is here, we're fine.
True, true. Hafthor plays the knight on d7, which I think is a great square for the knight in general. Good developing move. But I was gonna ask you, if he plays that knight on c6, what would that change in the position?
Yeah, so this is where I remember they talked about this on the
Okay.
Hikaru analyzed this on the mainstream, and Daniel, and they talked about how if he goes here, the threat is that this knight comes here,
Yeah.
and I cannot take. So yeah, I didn't think about this possibility before he moved the knight, but if he had moved this knight here, I think I would start. I think I would recognize the idea. It would be nasty.
Yeah, it's really good that you listen to the words, and also that
Yeah.
you would
Again,
spot
I
it.
missed. Yeah. No, I missed that idea entirely in this situation. I did not see that.
Oh, you didn't have to consider it at all because knight to c6 is not natural here. It just sets a trap that would be a really nasty trap to fall into.
Yeah.
So it's good that you weren't scared of this knight and queen, but you should have it in mind that because those are ganging up on the h2 pawn, there can be issues in the future. I call these, so for instance, in this position, with the knight and the queen hitting the h2 pawn, I call this h2 pawn a semi-loose piece or pawn, because it is protected in this moment, but it's attacked and defended with the same amount of pieces. So
Yeah.
it can be an issue. That it's just to keep in mind. Yes, exactly. So if you look at the puzzles that you solve, almost every puzzle will be decided by loose or semi-loose pieces and the king. So the king situation, of course, in many puzzles is key. Many winning moves are based on the king in a checkmate pattern, fork, some kind of an attack against the king, or loose or semi-loose pieces. So a loose piece is the g4 knight that's not protected. You cannot always take advantage of those pieces, but it's good to detect those in terms of when you have a position. You look at your own loose and semi-loose pieces and make sure that they are safe, and you can also always check what are the opponent's loose or semi-loose pieces. Here the g4 knight is loose, the a8 rook is loose, and you look at it, is there a pattern that you can use to win them? Unfortunately not, but in other positions there may be. So I think it's a good practice sometimes to look at the board, like where are the loose and semi-loose pieces, and to think of the semi-loose pieces. It's not an official chess term. I just started calling them semi-loose when it's a pawn like on h2. So this is semi-loose, and it's a potential danger in your camp because of ideas like the knight c6 move that tries to deflect the knight from f3 because that's your defender.
Yeah. Can I ask about this?
Of course.
If he was to play this move, I have two candidate moves. I feel like one thing I could do is go here.
Yeah, exactly.
And one thing I could do is to maybe just move my queen, and if he goes to take over here, then I could retake with this knight, and we have the same defense.
Oh, so you want to play e5 after that pawn is taken? Sorry, I think
No.
I misunderstood you first.
No. He moved. So on the time that he moved here, I'm
exactly.
considering which way would I react in this situation. I would probably consider going here.
Yeah.
And that's like one consideration. In which case, he would be unable to get here in time because I'm already on his queen. and he can't take because I have it covered twice. So I
Exactly.
feel this just stops the idea that he has. Would that be better, or should basically would e5 be the better reaction to this move, or would it be better to do something else in this situation?
I think e5 is a great response as your first instinct that should be solving the issue, because it attacks the queen, blocks the diagonal, so there's no more threat on h2, and it wins the tempo too. So it's good that you deal with the threat by winning a tempo on the queen, so once the queen moves away you can continue with your plan, possibly bringing the rook to the c file, or any other ideas that you may have had in this moment. So good thinking. Good thinking.
Yeah.
And I know you were also mentioning when you were discussing the pawn structure that if you push e5, your pawns will still be doubled, but those double pawns really aren't bad because they are in the center and in one group. It would be worse if you didn't have an e pawn either, so that no c pawn, no e pawn, and you just have doubled.
Isolated double. Yeah.
Exactly. When they are in a group, usually they are fine, and in the center it means that they are controlling a lot of squares. So because of having doubled pawns, you're controlling more squares than a straight pawn chain would.
Yeah, I guess it takes away more of his knight's possibilities. Oh, whoops! Sorry, my headset is weird. I need to restart.
Sure.
It just turns off sometimes, and I don't know why.
Can you hear me now?
I think I'm back.
Hello? Can
Maybe.
you hear me now?
Yes. Okay, it
Awesome.
works. It works.
I didn't want to hear
All right.
about the isolated pawns. Doesn't like it.
Yeah.
But
So
good
yeah,
thinking.
okay. That makes sense. Makes sense that the doubled pawn on this would be the worst potential, right? Having them doubled along the A or the H, because then they only have one contribution, and in the
Exactly.
center they're controlling two relevant squares.
Very, very well spotted the difference if it's a flank pawn and if it's in the center. It's so much more useful. Well done. And later you use the c file. That's another advantage of having doubled pawns, is that in this position you haven't traded any pawns. Therefore, for black there is not a single semi-open file, but you have one because you have doubled your pawns.
True. Yeah. So I recognize that there's the semi-open file. So I definitely wanted to get a rook there quickly.
I think you moved there. So he played knight to d7, but it will be similar. You chase that knight away. That's good thinking, because
Yeah, that's my trap.
I remember you talking about this too, that he can only move it to h6, and he did it. He found it. The mountain found it, but it's unpleasant even like this because the knight is not standing well on h6.
I think. Yeah.
This is the only move that he had, but it's an ugly move to make. We'll just show to everyone that Nicholas was aiming for this fork. So this is a really good idea. And if the knight goes to h6, well, he's not losing the knight, but it's misplaced on the edge of the board.
Yeah. This is my intention fully. That I was hoping to get a fork, but he very quickly saw that he has to go here, and he didn't waste any time. He just got out.
Yes, Hafthor has been practicing a lot too, and I was surprised how quickly he played knight h6 because it's not a natural move.
Yeah, me too. I thought he would, consider more, but yeah, he was out.
Then you placed the rook on the semi-open file. Well done. He took on e4, and you took back with the pawn, as you explained. You were gonna straighten your pawn structure, and now he pushed f5.
This is this is why I called this a prison break, but on the mainstream they apparently got confused. They thought that I'm confusing pawn break and prison break, but it's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that this is the prison break. He's getting out.
Yeah.
Or this way. So yeah, I see it as a jailbreaking your knight out of the way, which I'm sure is what he was thinking.
Yes, exactly. So you told me about the forget pawn, but here he wanted to get his knight back into the game. So in that sense, it's a good attempt, because if his knight stays on h6 for the rest of the game, that's almost like a virtual piece up for you. If your opponent has one terrible piece, just one, that they cannot activate, they cannot get back into the game, that really is like as if you had an extra piece on the board. You know that physically it's there, but it's not doing anything, so it's not helping your opponent. So that h6 knight, it could be even worse if it was on h8, but I mean that there's always there's always room for making it worse. But on h6 already, it's pretty bad if he cannot get it back into the game.
Yeah, I felt like he has to do something, or else I can send an executioner here on the G pawn if I want to even. But there's no reason. The one thing I felt about him being here though, if he didn't push this, is that I could not make this pawn advance as naturally, because then I would allow eventually for him to come out. So I was thinking right now that okay, e4 is where you sit here pawn, but then he pushes.
Yeah. Exactly, and that's how you reacted to f5. You pushed immediately, and that's a great reaction. You're just making sure the knight doesn't hop back into the game just yet. You are winning a tempo again by attacking the queen. He played queen e7, which was a mistake, and you instantly spotted why it was a mistake.
Yeah, there's the pin coming.
Yeah, you captured the pawn and that pin on the 7th rank. I don't know if Levi or Danny mentioned, or you might have heard it also on Hikaru's channel, the power of the rooks on the 7th rank. Have you heard?
I've heard it. I've heard it as a principle that rooks on the 7th are like that's where they thrive. Basically, I don't really understand it as a concept fully, but I've just heard that it's good. So, I've tried to do it more.
Yeah, it's good that you heard of it, and I think it might help understand it even more if you think of it like, so from White's perspective it's the 7th rank, from Black's perspective the 2nd, obviously. Most of the pawns are on that rank. That's
right.
where they start that from, and we don't always move all of our pawns. A lot of the pieces can be there too, and the king usually is in the back rank, which means that you're either cutting the king. If there were no pieces on d7 and e7, you would be cutting or directly attacking the king, the pawn on g7. Imagine the position without the queen on e7 and d7 for a moment. That would be an almost direct attack to the king on g7. But even with the pieces in between, so it's either that you are attacking your opponent's pieces or his king directly, or both, some of the pawns as well. And in general, it's very annoying because you're controlling a lot of squares in their camp. So you're right in their camp. On the 7th rank is where a lot of their army is.
Can I ask? So I feel the only non-intuitive part for me about hearing the saying like rooks on the 7th, is it because having your rooks on the 8th would be nice, but they're obviously going to be traded by the opponent rooks, so that's why rooks on the 7th is more likely to be there and not get taken immediately, so they're actually doing stuff.
Very good question, and you answered your own question indeed. So unless it would be a situation where you are a rook or two rooks up, so if this is more for positions with equal material where this is easier to see the difference indeed, because normally yes, there are rooks on the back rank, so we would love to get to the back rank. I'm sure you have seen in the puzzles a lot of back rank mates. Yes. The pawn is not on f7 anymore, but the back rank can be an issue in many games. But it's true that it's so much more difficult to get to the back rank because that's where the opponent's rooks are. If you manage to place your rook on the 7th and double rooks, so if your rook can come next to c1, he played rook c8 to try to trade the rook, which is a very good idea to try to get rid of this annoying piece. But if he did not play that and you had the time to bring your other rook also to the c file, then you kind of you're preventing them from placing their rook on c8, and it will be very difficult to chase this rook away from c7. So while you still cannot get to the back rank, you have two rooks on the open file, but you still cannot make it to the back rank. You are very comfortable on the 7th, and the spin is very annoying. The pawn on a7 is constantly hanging, so they can't really move the rook away without losing the pawn. There are a lot of issues in this position because of the rook on the 7th, and in general, that's why it's a strong concept. So yes, you answered your own question. Very, very good job with that.
I'm It's good to get. I Some things are like more like questions in my mind, and getting it verified, like getting to ask these questions and verify if the thinking is right is very good. So yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, it's just first time I heard rooks on the seventh. I'm so confused. I was so confused why seventh is better than like eighth, because isn't that where you want to have them? But
Yeah,
it
exactly.
makes
Would make sense that the eighth is even stronger, and it can be if it's a back rank mate, but it's normally easier to make it to the seventh,
that makes sense.
unless your opponent goes crazy and starts moving the rooks away from the back rank.
Sure.
But yeah, normally this is the way. And if you can double rooks on the seventh, that usually means you go Pac-Man mode and capture everything on the seventh. So you either have something that's a really strong pin, or you just start capturing everything. Because imagine 2 rooks on the seventh attacking everything.
Yeah, that would be devastating. Yeah.
It's great that you defended the rook, so that now if he takes, you'll once again have a rook on the seventh. So even if you didn't have 100% understanding on why that's good, you instinctively did it. You wanted to keep the rook there.
I'm just insisting. It's for me. All I'm thinking here is that I can insist and have 2 rooks connected, and his rooks are connected, but in the wrong way.
Yeah,
They're connected here. I'm connected aggressively, so he just can't get out of the pin.
yeah. Very good job. He moved queen to e8, and here you calculated a line that wins even more material. I was impressed because it's not that simple to spot immediately, I think.
Yeah, well, it prompts when he moved like that. It prompts me to think about the exchange immediately, because if I don't take him now, he's gonna take me. Like it's one or the other. So I just started thinking, and it's always rooks taking first. The queen wants to be last, so rooks kill each other. His queen comes in, and then in the end I have check. At first I missed that I come in with check here. So at first I didn't see that it was good, but I saw it on the second run. I need to go through the calculation a few times when I think, because I missed stuff.
It's good that you double check it. It's better to double check than to hope that you could take back your move. So do check your calculation and then make the move. Still much better, as long as you have the time to do it, than regretting your choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
This was really nice, by the way, the knight jump to c4 and coming to d6. You may have heard this being called an octopus. Not that it makes sense. I mean, it doesn't matter how it's called. It's strong. It's strong there.
Well, so why is it called? I haven't heard the expression. Is it just because it's central, or what?
I think it's combined with the fact that it's central. So a knight usually it's on d6 when it's called an octopus knight. But once again, I think the most important thing about it to know is that it's really powerful. If you have a knight in the opponent's camp placed like this, I think they call it the octopus because of, the squares you're highlighting, so many squares in your opponent's camp that are being attacked by this knight. Very difficult to get rid of that knight too if it's supported by a pawn. Like the pawn on e5 is the base of this knight outpost. And so this is a very powerful piece placement, and you went for it. Knight c4, knight to d6. Excellent.
I hadn't heard the expression outpost until recently. I saw what's his name, Critical, getting coached, and like hearing the expression. So is an outpost, what specifically calls it an outpost? Is it just that it's supported, or is it that it's supported and can't be challenged by pawns? Because that's what I'm thinking is super nice here.
Exactly. So an outpost, usually we say it's a knight outpost. Now, whether it's an octopus or not, so the octopus is one thing and an outpost can be another, or in this case it's both, because you have that knight on d6, which they call the octopus knight for how powerful it is. It's like as if it has 8 legs. It's that powerful. Yeah. But yes, a knight outpost is, I would describe it in a way that it's a square in your opponent's position. Actually, let me... I was just thinking if I can change the position. Let me do that real quick if I change the position, because it would be easier. You still see the moves, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna real quickly. It would I don't know if this is the fastest, but I'm just gonna try to mess up the position later as fast as I can. Okay, I'm not making ideal moves here. I just want to get to a position where we will have an outpost. So
sure.
let's say, okay, this is gonna take a few more moves.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's more about the concept than anything.
Yeah. So this position, this square on d5, that's a knight outpost, or outpost, because outposts are basically, we refer to them as a square for the knight. So first of all, it's a square in your opponent's position that's weak. It's weak because there's no pawn that can guard it. So black has pushed their pawns in a way that the d5 square can never be guarded by a pawn. There's no c pawn.
Yeah. So anyone who takes out the knight is going to be a piece.
Exactly.
It has to be a piece. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's an outpost for your knight. It's a great square for your knight because no pawn can chase it away. And as you said, it would have to be a minor piece that needs to trade it. So in an ideal position, even if they trade it, you will try to keep that square for a piece. Even if they take your knight, you will try to take back with a piece so that this square keeps being yours, and then it means that this pawn on d6 keeps being vulnerable. That's a backward pawn. You can bring your rook to support the queen and attack that pawn. So you can use the square that's vulnerable, and the pawn chain usually is also vulnerable around that square, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm gonna be right back and fill my water 1 second.
Sure.
I'll be back in a bit.
Now it's time for your questions, guys, because normally during these sessions I'm always very focused on the students. I really appreciate all the subscriptions and all the cheers and all the questions in the chat, all the comments. It's awesome. I'm reading the chat always, but I also don't want to interrupt Nicholas. So if you have an urgent question, this is your chance. This is your chance. Oh, but please don't ask like complex chess questions now, because we'll need to continue with the lesson. But how are you doing? How's everyone doing today? Like easier questions. Also, I need to take my medication for my tooth issue, which is actually not on that side, but I don't know why I'm pointing at the one side that's the right one. I'm gonna take my chance to actually take my medication. My alarm was going off, but I was like, no, I don't think I wanna be going for my tooth pills during the lesson. Oh, that's one down and two. Second one. Hafthor will be joining us later. Unfortunately, I was in so much pain that I would not be able to be here if I didn't start taking the antibiotics. Thank you so much, Yara, for the subscription. Thanks a lot for that. I think I'll need to update the sub count. I'm still waiting on my dental treatment, but in the meantime, the antibiotics are helping. So that's something. That's something. I was in so much pain that I couldn't be on Hikaru's stream on Wednesday. On Tuesday, I was struggling. Lavi knew it, but I didn't want to say it to the viewers. And Wednesday, I just simply couldn't do. I was in that much pain, unfortunately. I need to update the number. Hello.
Hello, I'm back. All right. So I got water. But that explains to me. I wasn't sure what just defined making an outpost. If it's just having a pawn behind your knight. Like, I've recognized there's often this sort of pawn structure where two pawns are advanced or gone, and that you're just deep in there and hard to challenge.
Exactly, hard to challenge. No pawn can chase it away. It doesn't win the game, but strategically, it's a really good spot to aim for, especially for a knight. So weak squares in your opponent's position can often be exploited by a knight, especially if it's a central square, because knights are short range pieces. So if it was a weak square on the edge of the board, it may not be that useful for your piece, but in the center, which is like the most important part of the board, I'm sure you heard of that many times. So a knight can be excellent in a central square like this.
Yeah, and it's extra true for some pieces, right? Because I watched some video just showing possible moves for any piece in chess based on where they're standing, visualized, and how for the queen and for the bishop and the knights, obviously thrive so much, but for a rook, it's a little bit different because they have the same. If they're standing in the side, they still have the same range as if they're standing in the center.
Exactly.
Yeah, but okay, yeah. So
yeah,
makes great sense to me.
And by the way, you don't need to know these names at all if we are just saying it, because usually if it has a name, it's important for a reason. So like you don't have to recall the octopus knight or a knight outpost or backward pawn. It's just simply normally the things that have a name, that's because there's an importance to that structure, to that knight placement. So it's more about knowing that's important for a reason, not because of the name. You can call it however you want. It's just more about knowing that a knight on the 6th rank here in the center on d6, that's a really powerful piece. I call that a beast. That's more than a knight. That's definitely worth more than a knight.
Yeah. I just had eyes on doing this, but also with hitting this. So he just steps in, and my first thought was that if I just move my knight in, he probably will have to move his queen, but then maybe I win the knights. That was as simple as the plan was.
Which is really good thinking too. And you were looking at that knight on d7, the queen is hanging. You also spotted the potential check on f7, and he basically set the pieces ready for a photo finish here with knight g8.
It's my first ever. It's my first ever smothered mate. I've never had one.
Aww.
Yes.
Congratulations.
I was very, very happy that I did not miss that. I would have kicked myself if I didn't finish the game there.
Yeah, I'm sure that others would have been just happy taking the queen, but you spotted that there's something better than capturing the queen.
Yeah, it's the puzzle mentality. Puzzles can get irritating at some point because it's always look for better. You do a puzzle and you're like, oh, I win a queen. And it's like, nope, you're bad. And I'm like, what do you mean I'm bad?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah.
Oh, I don't like those positions when it's already winning and you just need. I mean, it's useful for the pattern, but you are right. Like sometimes, if the position is winning already.
Teaches a mentality, I guess.
Yeah.
It's good to always look for the best move, I guess.
I think my least favorite puzzles is on chess.com. They don't have that type, but there are puzzle books that I used to solve as when I was still a kid, and the computer chess wasn't that big just yet. So I had all these puzzle books, and some of them would be just like mate in 4, and you can easily spot a mate in 5 or 6 or 7, but they were forcing you to find it in 4, which I think wasn't really practical, because a checkmate is still checkmate even if it takes you a move or two later. It's still a forcing line, but they want
if it's a forced mate in 5, then I don't see but okay.
Yeah, so that wasn't really practical. It was more for like the art behind it, because there was only one line that would be mate in 4 and maybe 3 lines that are mate in 6.
That sounds frustrating to do. I mean, as long as the move is forcing to mate, then I think I would definitely feel irritated if that's not as good. But yeah.
Exactly. These were excellent games. I thought that even though there's of course always room for improvement, and we were looking at the few moves where you could have improved, especially in game 1, but overall you played excellent chess. You really controlled the tournament situation very well. You said that your tournament experience from Dota must be helping, because you didn't seem nervous at all, even when you went down on time. You spotted your tactical chances and you won the match very convincingly.
I think I was more nervous in the 15 minutes before we started, and also perhaps in the first 5 minutes of the first game. I was sweating and I was nervous, and my palms were sweaty. So definitely there was nerves, but I think after the first game as well, I felt much more comfortable going into the game two, knowing that I'm one game up.
That makes sense. I did not notice the pre-match nerves, but you handled it very well. Maybe you just need to make that first move on the board, and then you were already just so much focused on the game that it didn't matter that this is your first ever chess tournament.
It is. Honestly, I told myself something before the tournament started when I was starting to get sweaty and nervous. I found I just told myself that the same thing would happen as when I cast the grand final or the international. At one point, so international is our biggest tournament, right? Yeah. And at one point, I was casting international. We had over 700,000 viewers, and it's scary to think about it like that and going on stage and casting. So, but the moment I look down and look on the screen and look at the game, it's like you forget everything. So I told myself the same will happen. I will look at the chessboard and we'll be fine. It wasn't really true because I'm not comfortable with chess yet. So it didn't. In Dota, I can look at Dota and I'm so confident. But here, at least I was focused on the game and not on anything else.
You did very well. You dealt very well with that nervousness, and it's just amazing to see how, once again, you can use your Dota experience for a chess tournament with all the similarities that you have mentioned. I'm really impressed with your progress, knowing that you've been studying basically for 10 days approximately. You had one session with Danny, one session with Levi, and now today's one. I'm very happy to help you in the future too. I will need to be going soon, but if you have any more questions, any questions regarding these games or anything else you had in mind, do let me know now, and we can also schedule another session for tomorrow, the day after, whenever you have the time.
Yeah, we can look to do more of this. I really appreciate all the help that I can get. I don't have any question right now that I can think of, but if I come up with something, and I mean it's a long-running tournament, so we'll have more chances for more training sessions.
Exactly. You let me know how is your schedule, and we'll figure out something, whether it's before your next game or during the event. You let me know when you prefer to train more.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and do a lot of preparation for, now that I'm up on game, I'm gonna try and aim for the winner bracket, and I'll try and prepare to be strong when I go into the winner bracket. So so yeah, maybe we'll find time, but there'll be plenty of time until the group stage is over.
Exactly, and that will be the biggest thing, the championship bracket. There's still 2 more matches until then, but you clearly showed that you are the favorite in your group, so I don't think you are worried about qualifying to the championship bracket.
I just need one win, so I feel confident. I want the win on the group too. I want to win the group because there's incentive. There's $1,000 to win the group.
Exactly.
And I got bills to pay. I'm doing this for the money. I'm doing it because it's fun, but also the money.
It's good if it's both. It's a means of income, but you're also having a good time, and you're learning new skills. You're improving at a game that now we know you've been following chess as a viewer for a few years, but now you're a competitor in one of the biggest chess events during the year 2020. So well done.
That's so funny. Pogchamps is a great event. That's a very cool idea.
It is. I really enjoyed the first one. Shout out to Hikaru, the team of chess.com, and everyone who made this possible, because really it is amazing. And you guys who are the participants, I was told that Pogchamps 2 is gonna be easier than Pogchamps 1 in a sense that they were trying to get even more beginners in the field, so that there's not much experience, and the ratings would be lower for everyone. Then all of you started studying, and it's like, this is not easier. Everyone is so determined, so hardworking, like many of you.
But I think it comes from Pogchamps 1, because a lot of us watched Pogchamps 1 and we saw, you know, the games, and everyone is already a little bit hyped from Pogchamps 1. So
yeah,
and you know, we're all beginners pretty much, but we're eager to learn. I mean, big shout out to your next student of tonight's Hafu. She's put in more work than anyone. Like, it's amazing. It's good fun.
it is really impressive how much Hafu has been putting into her chess studies. She really started the moment she got into the tournament, so that's 3-4 weeks,
Yeah.
8 to 12 hours a day. But yeah, very impressive. And you are using your experience from watching Hikaru streams, from watching the chess brass, so that's also great to have.
Yeah. I'm trying to convert my idle watching of chess into something practical now. But yeah. Chat, shut up. I've been working hard the last week at least, chat. Stop
he has been working hard. Guys, stop. Just because, look, I know, like, a lot of the viewers also just bring up the fact that Hafu has been streaming 8 to 12 hours a day, chess and only chess, and most of the participants stick to their main game, their main content, and then have coaching sessions sometimes, or study outside streams. It's not obligatory to have coaching sessions on stream. You've been solving puzzles, so your main practice has been solving puzzles, which is also super useful.
Yeah, I'm glad, because, you know, I feel like it just teaches you to think and move pieces and like do captures and things. So I'm learning, and I mean, I want to say at first here too that I did a few days where I did 7 or 8 hours of, like, 7 hours of puzzles and 1 hour of playing chess.
Yep.
It's hard. That's hard. Like, my brain is not used to that. It does not work that way. I've done, like, for reference, I've done 43 hours of Dota in a row without a break. I've done 40 plus hour streams, and, like, sure, that's exhausting, but 24 hours of Dota does not even really exhaust me that much. I can still, you know, think. 8 hours of chess is draining. It felt like I had done a 24-hour stream at that point. So
I know the pain. I know the pain. The pain. But you're doing a great job. I did watch some of that VOD as well. I was trying to catch up with what you've been doing so far, so that I'm prepared for it today, to know what you have learned already. And I saw that stream too. That was insane. Like, and I agree with you. I don't know how Hafu does it. Yeah,
she's a machine. she's amazing. I'm super impressed. Yeah. Okay, but thank you so much for the coaching. I guess I'm going to try and internalize this and actually remember stuff.
I hope it helps. And keep solving the puzzles, because that has been helping you spot tactical ideas very quickly, which is important. Spotting them is the first thing, and spotting them faster, even better. So that it clearly shows that you've been grinding a lot in puzzles. It showed yesterday too, when you were playing, how easily it came to you, that you had those tactical motives when it came to winning the pawn, a piece, or even when Hafthor was threatening checkmate on g7, and the defense too is a tactical sequence of defending the knight on h5.
Yeah. No, puzzle rush will be the next thing to work on speed, because I'm still not solving the puzzles very fast. I have solved hard puzzles, but I need to. Yeah, speed is the next thing to get really confident.
Yeah, I was gonna say that the next step is that, as you said, puzzle rush, and maybe some more blitz games with Storm and Matthew and whoever else volunteers.
Yes, actually playing chess. Yes, that's also probably a good idea. Yeah.
But really good job, and do let me know if you want to train next week at any point, and we'll definitely
we'll schedule a new session. I'll reach out to you. Yeah.
Have a nice day, and bye everyone on Nicholas's channel too. Really nice meeting you.
Yeah, goodbye to Anachess and your chat, which was amazing to watch the perspective yesterday. So
Oh, wait a
have
second.
a
Before I say bye, if you're still here, I learned from the Danny coaching that since now I'm a subscriber, the emote to spam first and foremost is the mango. So
yeah, yes,
let
yes.
me
My
spam
my
the mango.
mango, my mango. Yeah, there it is. It's just someone put my face on the mango from Dota. It's my most personal emote. It's also the hey emote is pretty good.
Is
It's
it?
my favorite hero. Which on a
Um,
short side note I call yeah, the Waga hey.
um,
The
this one.
eh,
Am I
yeah,
spamming the right one?
yeah, that one. Yeah, that one.
Looks cute too.
Anytime. So she actually, I'll give you some short thing before we leave. Then
Mm,
is that the main hero I play in Dota? I have probably over 3,000 hours of just playing that one hero, and there's over 100 heroes in Dota, right?
wow.
So this is my main hero, and she works a bit like a bishop or a queen. She sideblade stuff is what it's called. It's she attacks something, and whatever is behind it also gets attacked. So I call pins sideblade, because you line them up, and yeah, so it works like my hero. It's good.
That makes sense. Wow, I'm learning a lot, and I love to see when there's a comparison that you guys bring in new terms into
Yeah,
the chess world.
yeah, it's new things coming. All right, have an awesome evening. Goodbye.
Likewise, and do check out the streams of Nicholas in general and the VOD of today. If you want to see the eye tracker, you see the goals there. That's the eye tracker, and it's really cool. It really is impressive.
Yeah,
Talk to you later, Nicholas, and all the best with the grind and the Blitz games.
yeah, goodbye. Take
Bye.
care.
Well, how's everyone doing today? And what did you think of today's session? What do you think of Nicholas and his chances at Pogchamps? I'm curious. This was our first session. I didn't realize that he only started learning 10 days prior to the event because it felt like he must have been learning before. I thought maybe as a kid he went to a chess club, maybe after school club in the primary school, just some kind of chess activity in his early teens maybe. I didn't realize that in terms of lessons it was 2 coaching sessions, one with Danny, one with Levi, and this was his 3rd session. But he has been a viewer of chess content, and that makes sense because he did pick up a lot of principles and strategies by watching Hikaru, for instance, which is amazing. It's amazing that as a viewer he picked up a lot of these things. Niklas's 5 head, he does not make simple mistakes, a huge advantage. Yeah, exactly, Paul. Very true. Not making big mistakes, very important at Pogchamps. Super important. He's strong and he gets the concepts easily. Yeah, I'm not sure about endgames, how much he studied endgames, but well, I do think that endgame studies are important in general, and we may go over some king and pawn endgames perhaps if he wants to. For today, I wanted to look at mainly his games from yesterday and if he had any further questions, but I think learning chess endgames is useful, but for Pogchamps, it did occur in the match between Hafthor and David Pacman, but other than that, what we see mainly is that the games are being decided mostly in the middle game, because if you drop a piece or two, if there's a checkmate pattern, the games normally finish before there's an actual theoretical endgame. Or if it's an endgame, one player already has a piece up, for instance, or many pawns up, it doesn't really get to the theoretical endgames where it's just a very tiny advantage to convert. It's different for Pogchamps because they have a condensed learning time and have to go right into the battle. I agree, Bae. I think it's good that most of them are focusing a lot on puzzles. We always recommend puzzles because spotting tactical ideas, really, I don't know about percentages, but I would say most of the games, if not all of the games, are decided by tactical motives. Blunders, hanging pieces, checkmate patterns. That's what decides the game. So it's not that much about the Dworatsky's endgame manual that Ludwig owns and he slept on it for 2 weeks because it's a great pillow. But really, it doesn't matter that much that when it comes to the traditional learning path, we oftentimes recommend endgames, and I did study endgames with Hafthor because she studies every day 8 to 12 hours, so of course there's room for learning about endgames. But with the rest of the participants, it's a few sessions, and then we want to focus on what's crucial: don't hack pieces and how to spot those tactical motives, basic principles, development, openings. I don't normally recommend much opening studies to beginners, but if you don't have an opening, that's a problem. That's a problem if you don't have one, if you don't know how to develop the pieces at the beginning. As for me, I truly am impressed that Niklas has only been learning for the past 10 days, and this was his third coaching session, so one with Danny, one with Levi, and one with me, 3 sessions in total. A lot of Hikaru streams. I'm happy to hear that the World Championship between Magnus and Fabiano, I'm guessing that was Danny's and Robert's coverage. I didn't mention, because if you watched it on Twitch, that I'm guessing it was Danny and Robert that you watched, but I was in London for the World Championship as the host of the official coverage. Right there in central London, I was breathing the same air as Magnus and Fabiano. This is time to show off, right? It's my time to show off. No, honestly, it's just incredible to make it to events like that. But I guess a world championship, even if it's the world championship of chess, it still cannot compare to a Dota event with 700,000 people watching. Like, what? What?
Oh my.